Hi everyone, so you should have just completed a Check for Understanding Google form that had 5 questions on box and whisker plots as well as bar graphs. So we're going to take a little bit of time and go over those questions. So I'm going to start with questions 1 through 3 in this video, and then the next video we'll go over questions 4 and 5. So let's take a look at our first question. The box and whisker plot below shows the combined test scores of 2 classes for the most recent history test. Okay, let me tell you, 40 students took the test. Now, before I do anything regarding box and whisker plots, I always take some time and just label different parts of the box and whisker plot. So remember, when you're looking at a box and whisker plot, down here, this is going to be your minimum. So your minimum here was 55. Okay, so your minimum would be 55. This is going to be my 5-number summary. My lower quartile, or my first quartile, is the left side of my box, which would be 70. Okay, my median is the line in the middle of the box, which is 75. My Q3, or my upper quartile, is the right-hand side of the box, which here would be 85. And then my max is this number on the far end of the right whisker, which would be 100. So that's my 5-number summary. I also want you to remember that each part of the box and whisker plot is 25% of the data. So this whisker is 25% of the data. So 25% of the data falls between 55 and 70. The left side of the box is 25% of the data. So 25% of the data is between 70 and 75. 25% of the data is the right side of the box, which is between 75 and 85. And then 25% of the data is the right whisker, which is between 85 and 100. So each part is always 25%. It doesn't matter that this left side of the box appears smaller than the right side. They're both 25%. They contain 25% of the data. Okay, so that's important to understand all those things before you're able to answer some questions about the box and whisker plot. So the first question says, what is the interquartile range of the data? So your interquartile range is the difference between your upper quartile, Q3, and your lower quartile, Q1. So you want to take your third quartile minus your first quartile. So my third quartile is 85, minus my first, which is 70. So 85 minus 70 will give me 15. Okay, number 2 says, which statement about the box and whisker plot is true? So I'm looking for a true statement here. Okay, so you're just going to have to go through these one at a time. So letter A was the correct answer here. It says 50% of the students scored between a 75 and 100. So if you look on your box and whisker plot, you want to identify where 75 and 100 are. So 75's here, 100's here. Notice that 2 parts of the box and whisker plot are between 75 and 100. So because each part of the box and whisker plot is 25% of the data, from 75 to 100, 25% here and 25% here does give you a total of 50%. Okay, so that one's true. Let's look at the other ones and just discuss briefly why they are false. So B, 50% of the students score between a 55 and a 70. So I'm going to go to my box and whisker plot, look at 55 to 70. Notice the only thing between 55 and 70 is this one whisker. So that's only 25%, not 50. So that's why B was incorrect. 75% of students scored above an 85. So go over to 85. Above 85, I only see one part of my box and whisker plot. So that's only 25%, not 75%. And then letter D, 25% of the students scored between a 70 and an 85. Same thing. Go to your box and whisker plot, 70 to 85. That's the whole box. So that's one half of the box and a second half of the box. So that would be a total of 50% of the data, not 25%. So the only one there that was true was letter A. All right, let's look at 3. Assuming that the data above represents the scores of 40 students, so we have a total of 40 students, who took the test, and they told us that up here as well. How many students scored between a 70 and a 75 on the test? Now notice they're not asking for the percentage. They want to know how many students. So they want a number. Okay, so first thing you need to do is you need to go back to your box and whisker plot, look at 70 to 75. Now 70 to 75 contains 25% of the data. Okay, so if you look 70 to 75, that's half of the box. So that's one part of the box and whisker plot, it's 25%. So between 70 and 75 is 25% of the data. Now notice my answers aren't in percentages here because I want to know the actual number of students. Now I know that there were a total of 40 students who took the test. So now all I need to do is I need to find 25% of 40. Okay, so here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take 25% as a decimal, which is 25 hundredths, or 0.25. I'm going to multiply that by 40. I get 10. So your answer to number 3 should have been letter C,